And just like a father looking after his family, so Jehoshaphat was a king looking after a nation, and he was afraid. This was a fear that was a catalyst in his life that led to something. Now, let me just say something to you about fear. Fear doesn't necessarily mean you're afraid of someone. It doesn't necessarily mean you're afraid of the class bully who's going to knock your teeth out. That's not what he's talking about. Fear doesn't mean that you're a coward or less than a man. Jehoshaphat was a mighty man. He was a mighty king. But Jehoshaphat feared. And I want you to understand about fear that at times we're confronted with a situation. And the thing is that we can immediately see how this will have an impact on our life, on our security, on our family. And there is a fear, not because we're cowards, not because we're just afraid of somebody. No, not that. We're looking at the situation and we can see the potential impact that will have on our life or on those that are under our domain. You understand? And we get afraid of that. We're faced with fear because we can see, a threat in some way to our long-term life or stability. That's what Jehoshaphat was faced with. Fear was a catalyst here. And fear is a catalyst in our life. And it's important that we understand that what rises up within us in times that we're afraid, it reveals who and what we are. This time of COVID, and regardless of whether this is an issue of the virus or an issue of the government doing what it's doing and locking you down and you're losing your job or losing your hours or whatever the case might be, in spite of that, during this time, we have this tendency to be afraid, not because of a virus. I've met a lot of people, some are afraid of a virus, but I think the majority of the people, they understand that there's a natural risk that comes with this, just living life. It's not that they're afraid of that. They're afraid of the policies and what the government is doing and what that's going to do in their life, how it's going to affect their life. And what rises up within us in times of fear, it tells a lot about who we are. It reveals something about us. And so consider the man in our story here. Notice what happens here. In verse number 3, he fears. He sets himself to seek the Lord. And so everybody gets together, and Jehoshaphat has prayer. And he's going to just talk to God in front of the whole nation. This is like a man who brings his family together, and this man prays and speaks to God in the presence of his family. And effectively, here's what Jehoshaphat is saying. He's saying, I can't leave Jerusalem. Oh, I'm here, and there's an army that's marching toward me. And I can't leave Jerusalem. And the only thing that I know to do is fight. I have a 1,000,000-man army. In other words, I have the resources and the capacity to go out and engage in this battle. The only thing I could do is fight, but I even can't do that. He says, if I step outside, I'm going to lose everything. Now, I want you to notice in verse number 12. Look down again at verse number 12. Notice what he says there. O our God, wilt thou not judge them, for we have no might against this great company. Hey, I can't even leave Jerusalem. The only thing I know to do as a king is to go out and fight the battle. But I can't even do that because if I step outside of my city with my army, we will immediately be destroyed. We have no might against this great company. And so my natural reaction as a king, we're speaking of the king here, my natural reaction is to respond with aggression in this situation. Isn't that what the kings did? There was a time when the kings go forth to war. And what do? They go out in strength. They go out with aggression. It's not time to be passive. It's time to be active. We're going to fight the battle. We're going to win this battle. We're coming home victorious. And so his first reaction as a king is to go out and respond with aggression. But God has taken his ability away. Do you understand? The ability that he has to fight is now taken away. And he's going, well, now what do I do? Now what do I do? And so it tells us, his response in verse number 3, that Jehoshaphat feared. Now, some thoughts about fear. Fear is a natural response to something that we perceive as a threat. It's a very natural response. We fear if we're threatened by something. But if not handled properly, fear can very quickly turn into anger. I don't know how you are when you get afraid. If something scares me, without even thinking about it, I just respond with violence. And I don't know how you are. Maybe you'll fall down in a quivering puddle on the floor. But for a lot of people I know, they respond very much the same way that I do. But fear can provoke something within us. And if we don't handle fear correctly, there's a great danger in that because it can lead to anger very, very quickly. Can I tell you?